Okay, the next thing we want to do after we've damaged the halftone background in our previous tutorial is we're going to want to create the impression that these colors were added on by hand. And we're going to do that by creating a texture inside of those that gives the impression that a squeegee pulled ink down across a silkscreen, and that ink was distributed across the image but unevenly, and splotches and that kind of thing. It's a subtle effect, but when overall it creates a certain impression, and then when you get right on top of the image, when you look very closely, new detail is revealed, and that's always a lot of fun because that just enhances the overall authenticity of the process. So let's go ahead and start. You'll need obviously the image from the tutorial just before this one. So the first thing we want to do is we want to move the halftone layer to the top of the stack. Okay, and once we've done that, then we want to change the transfer mode from normal to multiply. Okay, and now we want to open the squeegee impression image that we created in a previous tutorial. Okay, once that's open, then we want to select all, Command A if you're on a Mac, and copy it, Command C. Switch back to the image. Make sure we're still selected on the halftone. Now we want to go up to Select, Color Range, and we want to select everything that's black. Now in this case mine is already selected from a previous time, but if yours is not, just make sure that you click wherever it's solid black on your image. And we want to make sure that the fuzziness level is set to 200 and make sure localized color clusters is turned off. Okay, once we've done that, click OK. Now that'll select everything that is black, which is basically the halftone. Everything that's the halftone will be selected. So the next thing we want to do is we want to paste that image of the squeegee impression inside this selection. Now the trick to doing that is you want to go up to Edit, and there's this Paste Special feature. Go Paste Into, and boom, it pasted it in a custom pasting technique where it's just inside any of the area that was selected. And as you see over here, here's how it's done. This is the image, and then this is the actual stencil. Now you might hear across different tutorials that this stencil is called a bunch of different things. It can be called an alpha channel, or it can be called a matte. Anytime they're talking about an alpha channel or a matte or a stencil, they're all talking about the same thing, which is basically this black and white image. Okay, so once we've created that, now we want to take that layer and we want to screen it over the top. There we go, and we want to change the opacity down to 25%. So it's kind of lightly dusted in there. So it's a kind of a subtle image. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to combine these two images. So select on the black and white part of this layer. As you can see, you can select on both. Make sure the black and white part is selected, the alpha channel, the mask, whatever you want to call it. Now, right mouse click on that and say Apply Layer Mask, and that'll just combine the two. And now what we want to do is we want to relabel that layer Halftone Degrade. Okay. Now let's check to see if anything's selected. Nope, nothing is. Okay, we're in good shape. Now we want to repeat that process in a similar fashion, not exactly, but similar to the background. So click on the background layer here. And now we want to select just the area that's red. So the way we do that is we hit Command, hold down Command key, and then left mouse click on that layer. And it'll just select the area that was red. It won't select everything else. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to go back to a file that we created in an earlier tutorial, and this one we want to open. Squeegee Pull. Okay. Now we want to do the same thing that we did with the last one. We want to select all, Command A, and then we want to copy it, Command C. Okay, we want to go back to our main image, and now we want to click on the head, or excuse me, no we don't. We want to stay on the background, and while the background is still selected, we want to do that same Paste Into function. So Paste Special, paste into. Okay, and it'll create that. And now what we want to do is we want to take this one and we actually want to multiply this one over the top. So up in your transfer modes, go from normal to multiply. And we want to change the opacity of that one down to 25%. So it's just in there lightly. And now what we want to do is we want to apply layer mask to this one as well. So make sure your black and white image is selected on the right hand side here. Apply layer mask. Okay, there we go. And let's label this one background degrade. Okay, now we want to do the same thing one more time, only we want to do it on the head layer. So click on the head layer, do your command click again on this one. Now we want to paste the same image into this one that we pasted into the background. So it's already should still be on your clipboard unless you copied and pasted something else in between. So all we have to do now is just go into Edit, Paste Special, Paste Into. And there, it'll do it then over the head there too. So now on this one, we want to change the transfer mode from normal to overlay. And we want to change the opacity of that one from 100% down to 75%. Okay, and we want to do the same thing. We want to apply it. So right mouse click, apply layer mask. Okay, we want to label this one head degrade. Okay, once we've done that, now let's zoom in a little bit and have a look to see what we've actually done. So as you can see now, we've created a texture over that color. And the idea behind that is that the squeegee has been pulled over the top and pulled the ink down, and it's created sort of imperfect lines here. And should start to help create the illusion that this was hand done. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to add some grunge to the edge of this, to the border around this. The idea being that the ink, again, does not distribute across the screen evenly and tends to clump or not on the edges. So this is where we go into our, again, another image we created in our previous tutorials for our prep files. And we're looking for edge degrade. So go ahead and open that. And again, we're going to do the same with this one. We're going to select all, copy. We're going to go back to our main image again. And we're going to, now this one is simple. We just need to paste it in there. So just Command V, and it'll paste it right there. Now, if this layer happens to fall in between various layers on here, it's all right. Just move it up to the top. It wants to be at the top of the stack. And we want to multiply it, and we want to put it at 25%. 25%, and let's label this edge grunge. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to, actually let's zoom in so we can take a look at that. It's kind of cool. It's subtle, but see how it's kind of darker along the edges, and it's uneven. That helps give the illusion that the ink was distributed unevenly, and also a little bit of aging around the edge. Okay, so now we want to take edge grunge and we want to duplicate that layer. So just click on it and drag it down to here. It creates a copy of it. And then what we want to do is let's relabel this one. We'll keep it edge grunge, but this one's going to be called edge grunge wash. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to invert that. So hit Command I to invert it, and we want to change from multiply to screen. And we want to change the opacity to 50%. Okay, let's have a look. Zoom in a little bit, see our work. Yeah, it's kind of subtle. You'll be able to see it against once we have it against the paper texture for the 4-panel setup. But it's you can see it's lightening and it's dark and it's in splotches and it's uneven. That's great because that helps again create the illusion of it's real. All right, zoom back out and have a look. Okay, that pretty much is the damage part of a single panel. Now, let's go ahead and prepare this for the 4-up. So what we want to do is we want to create a folder, and let's call this folder upper panel left. Okay, and now we want to drag everything into there. So if you hit background and hold down shift and hit the top, it should select all of them and just drag all of them into the folder. One thing to check is if you happen to not select all of them at the same time and you just move them in independently, the layer order could reorder. You could have things out of order. This order is pretty important, so stay with that order. So if you have to readjust so it looks like this, do so, because that'll be important for the next tutorial. Okay, that pretty much is the end of our damage prep for the image itself. The next one we'll get into the laying out the 4 panels and getting into the coloring and finishing the piece. All right, we'll see you next one. If you have any questions regarding this or any other video, feel free to post in the comments section and I'll see if I can clarify. Also, if you have an idea or a style that you've always wanted to know how to do, drop me a line and we'll see if we can't put together a tutorial and solve your creative riddle. If this tutorial has piqued your interest in Andy Warhol, the pop art movement, or modern art, click the link below to our blog and continue your investigation into one of the most culturally influential artists of the late 20th century.